Yeah. I'm a beginner. I'm wave 1.
Wave 1?
And I did wave 2.
Wave 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's the difference between wave 1 and 2?
Wave, you go.
Yeah, so I think wave 1 is set up for absolute beginners, and in our class we had ones that had dived before. We had a guy who literally came from the middle of America in Colorado, and this was his first ocean experience.
First time in the ocean?
First time with fins on diving. So yeah, that's quite a broad range to have to teach, but that's what waves 1 is for.
And how'd he go?
Adam smashed it.
Yeah.
Such a chill guy anyway. He loves nature, he's active, and yeah, he just got to the water and took it on and progressed so quickly for the week.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, and what about wave 2?
Wave 2, so I did my first under PADI under a different organisation in November, so I'd already done the wave 1 equivalent of that. So wave 2 is a bit more, you go a little bit deeper down, so I think my PB had been 18 metres, and then during wave 2 I worked down to 31. So to qualify for wave 2 you've got to get to 24 metres. So it's slightly about the depth and a few other things, but it's about learning how to spend more time underwater, improving your equalization, so getting the air flowing from your lungs up into your ear canals. And for me, it was, where I actually understood what freediving was about. I really started to enjoy it and work out how to find joy from the diving rather than it being a very new experience, which is what you get in wave 1.
Mm-hmm. So did you have quite a lot of fear or something that you have to overcome? Has it been quite a process for you, or in terms of progressing to level 2, where did you start and how did you get to where you are now?
So when I first started, I was quite, any sort of snorkeling, I would get really scared and wouldn't be able to breathe properly using a snorkel. So even during wave 1, it took a lot of time for me to get comfortable with that. And I couldn't equalize as well when I first did it, so I had to keep going back and trying. But once I got that under control, it became a lot easier, and it's really relaxing. So I think once you can get past those initial fears and conceptions you have, then it becomes a little bit easier to progress further from there, I think.
Yeah. So did you always have equalization issues?
No, it was just sort of the first
wave
wave 1. Yeah, I had cold and sinus problems, so I couldn't go down past 3 or 4 meters, which was a bit frustrating. But everyone finds their way, and I just had to go back, and it was a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So what was the highlight of Deepweek for you?
What was the highlight? I think conceptually having access to such a high level of talent and skill and expertise right there. So you've got world-class divers giving you direction, world record holders, whether it be technical or sort of more manual related stuff, with the technicalities of freediving, but also the practicalities of open water learning. That's exceptional. It's exceptional in an environment like this. But more so, it was very relaxed, so it's not a structured per se class. It's a very much an intuitive process. You go at your own pace. You feel comfortable, and that's what freediving is. You move on to the next thing. So the lack of ego in that sphere is amazing. When you get ones, there could potentially be a divide between the beginner or the learner and the expert, the professionals. Didn't exist. There was nothing like that.
Everyone's so humble. Yeah.
And for me, my highlight, there's a lot, and particularly the people. It's awesome hanging out and meeting so many divers from around the world. I think we've created a really good community that will be friends forever, I think. But the main highlight for me was just really learning to enjoy time underwater. So it was sort of, the first few line dives we did out here, I started to really feel the joy and really enjoy spending the time down there. which then when we did the manta trip, so we did a trip out to dive with manta rays, and that's where I sort of could see the like a practical life adaptation use of that skill. So we'd dive down to about 10 meters and just hang there for, you know, a minute, just with these beautiful, you know, underwater creatures sort of swimming by you. And I actually had this moment where I was down there and I completely forgot that I was underwater, that I was holding my breath. I was just sitting there suspended in this place, you know, it just was completely something that I've never experienced before, and it was amazing. So that's a special moment that I'll like take away from this.
That's such a cool story.
Yeah,
I really like that.
that's awesome.
Yeah. What do you love about the ocean?
I've grown up around the ocean, so it's very it's almost a spiritual experience for me, so it's a very happy place. Yeah. So I often go and I'm most relaxed and happy and embraced when I'm in the ocean and around it.
It sounds like freediving's a good fit for all of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always said I'm more happier under the water than on top of it, you know. So I'll go for a surf, but I'll do a paddle more than anything else.
Yeah.
I much prefer to go for a dive. And, you know, the nature and the animals and wildlife I see down there, it's definitely a beautiful connection.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such an escape from our lives, and you know, it's completely different underneath. Like, I learned how to scuba earlier on this year, and that was my first time being amongst, you know, all the underwater creatures that you get. And it was chaos underwater. It was like just so many fish, and there was sharks, and there was barracudas, and it's just completely new. So I feel, you know, renewed and energized when I spend time in the water, and you know, yeah, you just feel so great.
So good. How do you find, like, what's the comparison for you between freediving and scuba, and what do you prefer?
Oh, I find they both have their purpose. So I like the access to time underwater that scuba gives you, because you can really be and explore. But it's a faff. Like, there's a lot of equipment and it's not as technical. So I like the freediving's great because it's about really controlling your mind, knowing yourself, being really present, and developing the skills and the ability to just really know your body and have developed that intuition. So I think they're completely different. Freediving, you can just go out and do it at any time. Like, it's really easy, you don't need equipment, and I think that the people that do it are probably a little bit more passionate about it for, you know, nicer, calmer reasons. They're very different communities.
That's true. Yeah.
There's definitely a cost to freediving, personally and physically, but there's a great reward for it as well. So that's the difference, I think, with scuba. I enjoy scuba as well. It does allow that freedom. But
Cost as in, like, it's harder, and then
it's
you
physically
like
taxing,
have
that's
more
right, yeah.
challenges to overcome. So then it's
Particularly,
also
yeah, when you're going through your learning phases like I am, and you get to a next stage. And, so I think there's an element that I enjoy out of freediving. It centres my focus anyway, to go a bit more within and achieve things personally. Refine a mental state, which is sometimes hard to do outside of this context, you know. So that's a benefit.
amazing. Do you want to add anything else? Any other thoughts?
Try it. Like,
Try it.
yeah, I think people think that it's either a dangerous or a really unusual sport, but
Or that you have to be elite or something.
yeah, but it's for anyone can give it a go, and the challenges are all things that you can get past. It's not like you're trying to climb this giant mountain and there's, you know, lots of complications. Anyone can do it, and I think, you know, most people should be able to find some sort of joy in it.
Cool.
I agree.